text you that link first.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Married Lifers.
Welcome to Married Lifers. Greyhound. Oh, bad boy. You try to do number. What up?
What up with you? Why you sound all down right now?
I'm just chilling. I just came from the kitchen.
Oh, you just came from the kitchen?
Yeah,
From the chow.
Yeah, that's
Hey, before I forget, because I've been meaning to hey Naomi, did you get with Benji?
I think he was talking to somebody. Daniel just asked you a question. Did you hear him?
No, I was asking you did because I don't think Ben is back yet, but I shared that what you had sent to me. I forwarded it to him about the lawyer.
Yeah.
Yes, I was just wondering if he got with you.
No, he didn't.
But I'll nothing because because of the way your number is in my contacts, I don't know which one is which.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter. Whatever number you give him.
All right.
So did you get to film your thing with your friend?
Yeah, I had to. Matter of fact, we just walked in right now. I had to go pick him up. Yeah, car show, so I had to go pick him up. Shit, he's way over there on the north side. He's on Bell Ross. That's way the hell up there from here. So like we were just walking up right now. That's the time you text that to me. I didn't have a chance to, because I got that from you when I was on the road.
You want to meet our new baby?
Who's that?
Tell him who this is, babe.
You had to get you a dog, huh? Why you didn't get you a Greyhound?
Babe. You want to introduce our new baby? Yeah, she's on screen.
Yeah, that's on the new stage. She a little pussy bully.
Look at, you see those diamonds on her neck?
Yeah, she's beautiful.
She's a pocket American Bully pocket. She's 13 weeks. She terrorizes everybody in the house.
Yeah. We'd have some problems.
She'd be chasing the cats around, and I was telling my husband, I'm like, the cats are looking at me because she chased me the other day and I had to run and jump on my bed. And the cats were looking at me like, she's even terrorizing me. Why did you bring that girl to this house, Mom? The cats have so much attitude.
Shit.
What's wrong?
Trying to turn the camera so I could, because it's the screen. I'm on my phone, so trying to get so I can actually see the motherfucking screen. I'm all up on it.
So are you going to introduce your friend that you just did your?
Yeah. Hey, so. You can't put on the laptop. Hold on. Let me try to. Hold up.
Roxy.
I'm gonna try to come on the laptop as well.
This fucking dog keeps biting the shit out of me. Babe, I'm gonna unplug the speaker part because it keeps making weird noises. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
It's like every time we talk, it would like give some kind of run back.
Yeah, there is.
Maybe it wasn't my speaker because I unplugged it and it's still doing that.
It's probably the phones or whatever. What do you want?
Like you don't have it running in the background?
Who?
You.
I'm just starting my laptop right now. It's 'cause I was gonna. I'm gonna try to go on through the link that you emailed me on the laptop. That way we can both be on there. It's just been one of those days. Like, man, I've been in motion since I left. Because I came over here for a minute, and then when I left here, I actually, because there's a shooting, a couple people got shot and killed right here down the street by the AutoZone. So I pulled up over there. It's on my live. That live I was on today. There's actually the body's still laying out there uncovered. So I went over there. I was live over there for a minute, and then I went back to the house because we the plans the plans have changed. I don't know how many times the plans changed today. You know what I mean? So it's been one of those days. Honestly, it's kind of like a really frustrating kind of day, man, because you have plans and nothing goes as planned. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
hold on.
Stop.
Soon as it loads. All right.
It's real life. We need AI.
Which one do you want? More or laptops? So yeah, it's gonna echo now. Yeah. So this is the homie Tiny Tim for Northside Gangsta Crips. Just did 23 years in California prison system. Been out how long? A year. Been out a year, living out here, and we got a little movement going on. So I'm gonna let her speak because I want to get off this because it's echoing, and I'll just get back on that one.
On a laptop.
Yeah, I'll get back
Okay.
because I can just sit here and I can just sit here and speak with him anyway. I'll still be on the call, but it's echoing, it's killing me.
Yeah, you're gonna have to because that sounds horrible.
Blame it on my mama.
So yeah. So go ahead and tell us a little about yourself, a little about your history. Give us a little.
Okay. Hello. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. Nice to meet you. You know what I'm saying? Send my regards to you and your husband. I came out here and ultimately I met Daniel. You know what I'm saying, through one of my colleagues, and so we just started kind of like expounding on prison life, street life, different problems, different solutions to the problems. And in that conversation, I was kind of explaining to him how, like, at the age of 12 years old, me growing up in South Central Los Angeles, I ended up becoming a member of the A-Trade Gangsta Crips. And that lifestyle totally consumed me. It totally consumed me. You know what I'm saying? And me being consumed by that lifestyle, majority of my life was consumed with crime, destruction, you know what I'm saying, civil war in regards to the community with so-called enemies, and just living a very destructive life because my affiliation dictated, my everyday life. So by me being from the A-Trade Gangsta Crips and by us beefing with the neighborhood Crips, that was solely kind of like the mission in regards to eradicate our enemies and making sure that our gang stayed on top and theirs didn't. So when you got that type of attitude and you got that type of mission, like, you're not really considering other important things like family, your personal life, your personal vision, different things that you're trying to achieve. So, me going to prison, Me doing time in prison, like that really didn't matter. You know, to me, I looked at it, was just part of what I signed up for. You know, um, now as I'm older and I look back and I'm starting to see all the deterioration of the culture, all the life that has been lost, uh, the loss of my life, and and losing my brother, my grandmother, my grandpa, my father, my auntie, all these different immediate family members that I grew up with, and getting out and coming back in contact with my mother. She's much older now. She's more frailer. Her youth was, been took from her, due to the years and seeing that, and different health issues and the strain, on that I have on in the relationship, with me and my oldest child, which is 22 years old. It's definitely I'm gonna say a cold reality check, you know, because at this point it's like, man, what was I thinking about? You know, how did I get caught up into this? Like I was telling Daniel, like, I didn't, um, my mother, you know, she had a mother, what I'm saying, and grandparents, that migrated from Tulsa, Oklahoma. So they was already groomed and educated in the importance of education, being a business owner, uh, staying connected to a high power, you know. So when I grew up, my mother was heavy on us being educated, taking out the time to, learn important things, uh, going to church and things like that. So like I was telling Daniel, like I didn't really have no, I'm gonna say, dysfunctional family in a way where, I was being geared to go to the streets. Like that wasn't how my family was. So, on the outside looking in, the question would be like, well, damn, like how did you get caught up in this? But like I was explaining to Daniel, having parents that had no knowledge of gang culture, migrating from a whole nother state, coming into a state that they're not familiar with, me going to school every day and coming home, not having the protection of my father or my mother, they couldn't protect me from the gravitational pull out there as far as me walking home and I'm being hit up in regards to when you gonna join the set, like when you gonna be from the set, and I'm like, oh, I play football. you know, that used to be my comeback. Oh, I'm a football player, and they used to laugh at me like, bro, come on, man, like But that's what I used to say, because that's what my mom used to tell me to say, like when they want to
Peer pressure.
mess with you or peer pressure you, you tell them you're a football player. You tell them that you go to church. This was the intelligence or the defense that my mom gave me, which didn't work on the streets. So that led to mockery. That led to uh, being laughed at and other things. But although I was going through that, it was never a fear factor, like in the sense of me feeling like I was going to be harmed. Because one of the things that I'm very grateful that my mom did when I was young, and she did it in an effort to try to steer me from wrong, was she put me in martial arts. So when I was young, from the age of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, I was taking Muay Thai, so I was taking kickboxing. So that ultimately became, one of my secret weapons in regards to me being able to take care of myself on the streets and not being afraid of, somebody harming me because I know how to protect myself. Which ultimately became a observing factor of homies, and dealing with my recruitment, because it was like, man, the homie got squabbled, he know how to fight. So that became an asset to the game, in regards to us going out looking for enemies and, uh, involving ourselves in gang conflict and things like that. Um,
what made you join the gang?
I mean,
That's
just
what I was going to ask. Like, how did you get sucked into it then?
Story about your home.
oh well, when I was young, one of my best friends, his name was Dominique, and we was outside. We were actually doing backflips. That was some of the things we used to do. We used to ride our bikes and do backflips and play football on the streets. But on one particular day,
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
okay, rival enemies came and they hit the corner and they did a drive-by shoot and they end up killing my best friend. They end up blowing his brains out and me seeing him on the ground with brain matter on the concrete, that day totally changed my life
For the worse.
I've
it
seen
changed
that.
my life.
I've seen that in front of me too before. So I understand that.
Mhm.
How that feels and what it is to see that. You know what I mean? Right in front of you.
Yeah, it changed my life because I wasn't, I haven't been, I haven't been taught to, react, towards a situation like that. Nor at this time was I involved in gang culture. So to me, it was a great traumatic experience. And then, in regards to me getting help in therapy, my parents couldn't help me in that process because all the advice that my mom had was like pray, take me to church and stuff like that. But it was something deeper going on inside of me because seeing that put fear in my heart.
Mhm. It's
It put fear.
traumatizing for sure. I was an
Yeah,
adult when I went through something similar.
Mhm.
It's traumatizing to see something like that, especially when you're not used to things like that. You know what I mean? And then back then, our parents didn't know what to do. Nobody really did therapy. I didn't hear about therapy until, like the last 10 years they talk about it. But before then, that wasn't a thing for us growing up.
Mhm. Yeah, so that definitely put fear in my heart. And so by that taking place, you know, um, the conversation that was being had with me from my homies, it made it easy for me to join the game because it was more like, you see what happened to Dominique, what you finna do? Are you gonna become a victim like bro, or you gonna get with the set where the protection come into play? So to me, I felt like I might as well join the set. I might as well join the game because I don't want to be out here, what I'm saying, a victim like my friend. And in that decision I made, not only did I make a decision thinking of my safety and security, but also I made a decision because I wanted revenge. They took my best friend from me. So now I wanted to figure out ways to get revenge on those who took my best friend from me. So that was a motivating factor too, you know, because I felt God felt me. My mom, they didn't have the answers for the situation I had. I was very upset. This was somebody I was very close to. We used to spend the night at each other's house. We used to walk to school together, walk home together, play video games together, play marbles, raise dogs, raise pigeons. I mean, this was my everyday dude. You know what I'm saying? My best friend. So for him to be took from me, like it put a void in my heart. And so that day changed my whole entire life. Things that I was staying away from, things that I was pushing away out of my life, as far as like, the negative influences by playing sports and, going to church and doing things like that my family had me doing. I stopped doing it. I started running away from home. I started hanging out with my homies, which ultimately led to my initiation and ultimately led to my incarceration at a young age.
How old were you when you went in?
Where I was 12 years old when I went to the youth authority. And then I ended up doing like Y life in the youth authority. And then that ultimately led to me being paroled from YTS. And then, actually, when I was in the youth authority, I was sent to prison because I caught a case in the youth authority for stabbing a staff. And I was at Paso Robles. And then they ended up kicking me out of the youth authority. I went to San Luis Obispo County Jail, got tried as an adult for assault and battery on staff, which ultimately led. I went to prison at the age of 18, and the first prison I went to was Pleasant Valley. And from there, I ended up going to Old Corcoran at 19 years old.
Were you there when
Preston Tate got killed?
they were setting up all people for the fights and all that shit?
Yeah, I was involved in that situation. Like,
You was getting your squabbles on and that
yeah,
shit?
yeah, most definitely. Man. It was a survival thing.
Yeah, I remember seeing that shit on the news. All the media reports was coming out on that shit. And like, man, that shit was cold. They were setting fights up and shit. People like that.
Yeah, Preston Tate ended up. He was from East Coast, ended up losing his life, and you know, they was ultimately just, you know, it was what they call gladiator fights, but it was more of them placing bets, you know, to see like, you know, who was gonna win.
That's great.
You know, the battles back there, which we was both, you know what I'm saying, outnumbered, because when you got the tower that have instructions, you know what I'm saying, to kill you if they see a weapon or somebody, you know what I'm saying, getting hurt, then it's like we both end up becoming losers because we both losing comrades and friends to this. So, yeah.
And the life sentence, talk about the life, how you got the 20 years.
Well, in October 22nd, 2001, I was involved in actually a melee with 77 Police Department. The Inglewood Police Department had killed one of my homies, Baby Ghost, who was Mario Rando. He got killed. And we was doing a car wash for him at St. Andrews Park to raise funds to bury him. And during that time, law enforcement said that I had an outstanding, you know what I'm saying, warrant against me, and they end up seeing me at Golden Bird Chicken. That led into a foot pursuit. You know, I ran back to the park, which ultimately led into a melee, which led to my incarceration. And then once I got incarcerated, then all different types of charges started coming into play, which ultimately led to me getting a life sentence in prison, because it was like I'm being charged with gang enhancement. So it's like, you're a gang member, that's 10 years. They use the AK-47 assault rifle in the car, and that's another 10 years. And then for all the other batteries or whatever and other robberies, crimes you've been, you know what I'm saying, this is a life sentence. So, you know, I went in prison with life, got railroaded, you know what I'm saying, through my court procedures, which ultimately ended up being overturned because my appeal lawyer seen that, you know, vital information that was supposed to be given to me in regards to me knowing all the logistics of my case wasn't given to me by my public defender. You know, I could have took a deal in my case. He never brought it to my attention. So that ended up me taking it to trial, which led to the life sentence though. But ultimately led to me getting my sentence overturned for ineffective assistance of counsel. So like within 16 months of my sentence, I came back down to the Los Angeles County Jail and was going to CCB, criminal court building, dealing with habeas corpus writ. And the motion was for ineffective assistance of counsel because my lawyer never brought vital information to me about my case. Like, you know, the district attorney offered me a deal because they never found a gun. They said I used the AK-47 assault rifle in the crime, but never found a gun. One of the place of robberies that they did a fingerprint analysis, none of my fingerprints came up, but other people's fingerprints came up, right? So it was just a lot of insufficient evidence that they brushed under the rug because the objective was to get me off the street. So it was all these factors coming up that my appeal lawyer bring to my attention. So they brought me back down. Long story short, they overturned the life sentence, but they still wanted me to do time, you know, because they felt like I was a menace to society. So I had to end up taking a deal for 25 years without the L. And I ultimately did 23 years of the 25 years that I was sentenced to.
How does it feel being out? Like when you first got out?
You know, in one sense, it's a relief, you know, and you feel joy and excitement, you know, in regards to, you know, not having your life dictated, you know, upon every day, you know what I'm saying, every second of the day. But there's also um, a great challenge that, you know, each and every day that I'm trying to overcome because, you know, that time institutionalized you. You know, so I'm dealing with being institutionalized, things that may be normal and simple to someone. To me, in my head, it's like it's 10. It's you know, on the Richter scale it's a 10, but it may be a 1. Um, so in some sense, you know what I'm saying, like my reality is kind of like distorted a little bit because it's like it's sometimes it'd be hard for me uh to not put, you know, something, issue on a simple level. You know, in prison, nothing is simple. Everything means something. If you walk on the track on Monday and you run into one of your associates and they give me the dap, what's up, bro? And then on Tuesday, they walk right past you, they ain't saying nothing, no dap, that means something. You know, these are things you have to pay attention to. So it's these lessons, these instincts that you learn in prison, you come out here and I could be in the workplace and then on a Monday, hey, good morning. And then on Tuesday, it's not that. Now I'm like, what's up with this dude? You know, because it's like our minds being wired to pick up on the small things. This is what keeps us alive in prison. You know what I'm saying? So we study behavior patterns, you know, so it'd be that, you know, I can be paying over attention to things that might not even be nothing, but to me it's something. And it kind of, you know, it distracts me from, you know, the focus of what I should be having is just getting through the day, you know, working or whatever it may be. Um, so it's that, you know, it's also, um, you know, I'm married, you know, and I'm a father, you know, so it's like trying to figure out how to have decent and respectful conversations with my wife. You know, how do I not use prison politics, you know, in making a decision with her? And you know, a person on the outside would be like, "That's simple. This is your wife. You know, put her in that category." You know, which I understand, but at the same time, it's like, you know, when you are in prison for 23 years and you're in a position of leadership, I was always in a position of leadership, so I was always making decisions. So when you're in that position, it's hard to turn that off when a matter comes to your attention. It's hard. Like, you know, it's hard to turn it off. Yeah, this is my wife. I love her. I understand she's not the enemy. She's not authority. But something that's being brought to my attention uh that's challenging because she can share something to my attention in regards to uh it can be something simple as the rent need to be paid. This is the amount of money I'm putting to the side to cover the rent. However, the baby need formula, the baby need Pampers. So let's go into that and get that, and then we'll worry about getting the money another day. And in my mind, it's like no, like you know, we have to make sure that the rent is secure. So we can't touch that, you know, because I'm looking at the possible negative outcome um, of not paying the rent, you know, instead of being flexible and understanding that, like, you know, the rent is going to get paid. Like, we just, you know, taking this because to take care of that. So it'd be that too. Like, you know,
it's funny that you say that like that because me and my husband struggle with stuff like that. Like, I try when I get upset with him, I try to think like his thinking is different because he's there. You know what I mean? But I try to make him understand the way I'm thinking and the way I'm feeling. And it's like we clash heads so bad when it comes to that. So it's crazy that you still do that when you're out, when you get out, because that's what I've always been worried about too. My husband did 18 years in the box. So, you know what I mean? That fucks with him too. So I'm like, I try to think of that, but when I'm in my feelings too and I'm upset, like all that goes out the window. Like I just
Yeah.
fly off the handle too, and it's hard.
Mhm.
That part of it's hard.
Yeah, because like you know, when I was incarcerated, I did shoot programs too. You know, I was part of hunger strikes and all that to try to get the individuals out of Pelican Bay shoot. You know, I've been in situations where IGI was trying to validate me. You know what I'm saying? All type of things, like, you know. So that stress, them experiences, like, it changes you. You know what I'm saying? So although we part of gangs and we part of, you know, it's the streets, we still suffering from what I'm realizing, post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, because like I was telling Daniel, like, imagine every day you living on the edge. You know, every day you go to the yard, you got a knife. In the cell, you got a knife. Your cellie might not know you got one, but you got one. So in the event he do something he ain't supposed to be doing, you prepared already. So like this prison life teach you like that. Always be 3 steps ahead. Always be mentally prepared for whoever in the event, you know, something goes bad, you already prepared for it. So to not have, you know, no rest period mentally, like you on the verge of being insane. Right? And so it's things that keeps us from totally being the same, like as far as our workout routines, our studying routines, you know, thanks to Allah, you know what I'm saying? Like I never, you know, me growing up in a Christian household, you know, my family never was like on drugs or things like that. So that was something I never incorporated, you know, into my life, like, you know, using drugs, drinking, smoking weed. So when I was in prison and I was overwhelmed, you know, I never had the urge to shoot up heroin or, you know, participate in homosexual activity or different things that other individuals doing to try to distract their mind from the hardship, you know, because every day for me, when it's yard recall, it's 7:30 and the officer is trying to lock the chase at 8:15. When we all hear that click, this when anxiety kicks in because now at this point you realize that you're stuck in a cell. And if the officer don't open up this, you're not going to get up out of here. So to mentally every day to lie to yourself that that's not your reality and I am going to be able to get out the cell is taking a toll on you because we wasn't trained to prepare for that. So you be stressed out.
Do you feel like that too, babe?
That they won't open up the doors for us.
No, like you get anxiety when it locks like that.
Like it's crazy you know where when we talked about last time about when you get into this norm where you're used to it, you know what I mean? You feel it, you don't want to acknowledge it, you don't want to feel like the time is getting to you or nothing like that, you know what I mean? But you it becomes your norm. But at the same time, you notice certain things. Sometimes, like I tell you, how I get robotic and my routine, my daily, and everything that goes on in here it's robotic. I go numb to it. You know what I mean? But you do feel it. You do acknowledge it. It's just we express it in different ways. It's just that it's so much the norm for us day in day out. Wash, rinse, and repeat. You know what I mean? So the anxiety of it. Maybe in the beginning, that was felt and stuff like that. But then after a while of the routine, it just becomes part of your routine. You know what I mean? It becomes part of you. I'm not saying that it's not a feeling. I'm not saying that we're not human to not feel these things. I'm just saying that we compartmentalize we feel how we function. because for him, for bad boy, for the next guy, he can't express himself to me. I can't express myself to him. I can't show him anything that may be a vulnerability. He can't do that with me. We live in a macho society, you know what I mean? So what we're feeling, we keep it to ourselves, so it becomes like a norm. You know what I mean? But I'm not saying that it doesn't hit us and affect us like that. It does. It just becomes that norm.
Mm-hmm. That's true. You know, because you have to, like, a lot of things you have to numb yourself to. You know, you have to numb yourself to.
You have 1 minute left.
If one of your friends, you know, mess up, then we gotta go in the yard and stab him. You have to numb yourself to that. This is my friend. He messed up, so he got to get dealt with. Like, you can't have no feelings and emotion towards that. So it's a lot of natural feelings that we should have. We have to numb it in certain situations because that's the order of the day. The order of the day is to survive prison. Period. So we started.
We don't live. We spot. And I don't mean just the game stuff. I mean emotionally, physically, psychologically, financially. It's survival.
That's pure survival right there, dude. Survival of the fittest in the worst of ways in a controlled environment that we don't have control of. Because the thing is, like what he's saying about the homie, right? So the homie fucks up. You don't know what he's got going on. You don't know what he's into. You don't know nothing. You just know that it comes down to he fucked up, and you get the report on what he fucked up, what he did, and you got to deal with it. You know what I mean? There's no preparations for that. Those are just harsh realities of what we endure in there.
Where it stops you from being sensitive to yourself. Like it stops you from listening to the creator. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I believe that the creator talks to all of us in our own way. So it's like you can do something and then you hear that voice, be like, why you do that? Like, why you being like that? But you will shut that off, you know, because, you know, if you listen to it and you have sensitivity towards it, now you don't put yourself in a situation where now you're a target.
You become a weak link. You become a weak link in a chain that's got to be strong, because it's like in those, like especially like out in California, like that's certain prisons are like that. Like it just doors pop and it's on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The doors. Yeah, we used to always say that shit. The door is the bell.
And then it's the you know, I did time at Pelican Bay, Folsom, High Desert, Salinas Valley, Corcoran, Pleasant Valley, Calipatra, you know, so these prisons, you know, each prison have their own reputation for a particular type of madness. You know, you might go to one prison and then the warden may have a vision for that prison population, which is making sure everybody get a GED or making sure everybody gets self-help groups, right? And so that changes the environment of the prison because now everybody is in a position where they can try to learn trades or they can learn things to better themselves. And then you might go to Folsom, then, you know, the warden up there is on some, you know, we trying to save as much funds as possible. So there's no programs on the yard. There's no outlets on the yard. So by there being no outlets, by there not being nothing for us to do, now we start to prey more on each other. So you being on the yard and you preparing yourself for your opposition, now your circle becoming your opposition. So now you got outside.
That's the frustrating part for us on the outside, I think, is because we're always, it's like that everywhere. I think at every state, like each prison's different. And that's what we fight against here, because in each prison, it's something, you know what I mean? In the last prison my husband was at, it was bullshit. They did good things, they did bad things. This prison, it's the same thing. It's like that everywhere. And that's the part that frustrating because I tell them like with the COs, it's frustrating too because you're like, you know who these men are. These are men at the end of the day. So why do you talk to them all crazy? You know what I mean? Like make that part make sense. You don't want to be attacked. Like keep these men busy in a positive way.
Because this is what I believe. I believe that, you know, when you looked at a number, right, or if you looked at as far as a financial interest, then all them things become irrelevant because the objective is to keep you in prison so we can get money off you, right? The objective with most of these institutions is not to allow us to become free. Many of my friends that came to prison with me died in prison or end up catching a life sentence in prison, right? Where now they're not going home. So for those that are able to make it out of prison, you're blessed because once you go in and you do the amount of time that I do, you're not supposed to go home. See, that's the secret. Once we get you in here, like going home is not the option. The option is to keep you in for the rest of your life. So we can get paid off you for the rest of your life. So when you have those that make
and
it
it's
out
sad
of
because
prison,
they know that.
yeah, most definitely.
It's sad because they know that. Like I studied criminal justice, and you know some of the professors were police officers, and they were even complaining. Like just for instance, parole set up for you guys to fail. Is designed that way, and they know that, and they talk about it, and they talk about how frustrating that part is too. That's the crazy part of it. Is like everybody sees it, but like nobody can fix it.
Because I don't think it's something that's supposed to be fixed. Like, you know, this is America is a capitalist country. You know what I'm saying? So it's about money. So when you take away, you know, the spirituality of things, which is the importance of a man having a wife, having children, being able to take care of his family, being able to be involved in a good community where the community can produce a livelihood, that's spirituality. That's spirituality and our actions as human beings. So when that's not considered, and I'm just looking at you as a dollar sign, see, I don't care about your self-help class. I don't care if you change or you do change. All I care about is I know every year I'm making $23,000 off you.
It's crazy.
That's all I'm concerned about. You know, so y'all can kill each other. You can do whatever you want to do. Like, I don't care. You know, and so being that when we get in prison and we learn these facts, because these are like what individuals don't know, prisons are universities, right? So no matter if you want to learn or not, the group that you're involved in has to elevate. So your OGs and your homie is going to put you up on game. They're going to teach you what's going on, whether you want to learn it or not. Because if I'm a part of a game, right, and we're making money this way, but then you have another group that learned a better way to make money where there's less risk, right, and it's more efficient. See, then that puts us in the dark ages, and then I put this other group far ahead of us, right? So everybody's paying attention to each group. Everybody's is trying to be ahead in regards to the things that they need to learn to survive in prison and be able to, you know, keep themselves sane. And in doing that, you have to have some type of sense of peace, security, and livelihood for yourself. So even if a man don't want to get educated in prison, he has no choice because the group that you're part of dictates the growth. You know, when I was in prison, if we went to the yard and our opposition is doing 50 push-ups, we finna start doing 100 push-ups. You know, if we find out that this group is taking college courses and all of their homies is in this course, we're finna start signing up for that same college course because we're not going to be left behind. So that's just the natural order of things in prison, right? And so the administration know what's going on, you know, so like they understand what's going on. But like I said, if I'm making $23,000 off you a year, I want you to stay in prison. I want you. You know, these officers, they getting paid good money. You know, hazard pay, a riot happens, they get overtime, right? They get big checks. This is why a lot of officers enjoy being a correctional officer because their livelihood is wonderful. They got great vacations, they got nice cars, they got good life insurance, dental plans, their children is taken care of. You know, the warden has 2 houses and, you know, property of vacation homes and all of that. Like they're living off the hog.
Living off of us.
But, you know, they're also watching the misery of human beings.
That's the cold part.
They seeing anybody that wants to, you know, be in that type of job description, and you come into a facility and you see the suffering of man and you see the hopelessness of humanity. Like, who wants to work at a place like that? Something is wrong with you. If you're a human being, why would I want to see another human being suffering? That doesn't make sense.
Yes, you're cruel.
So as they saying that we're heartless, we're cruel, we didn't turn something off, you know, within our makeup, they didn't turn something off too. Because every day you're going to work and you on a yard and you're looking and hoping that somebody stabs somebody so you can get overtime. Because you have to write the report. You know, you have to send people, you know what I'm saying, to the hole for the incident, right? And so when you supposed to got off at 2 o'clock, now you there till 4, and that's overtime. So now every week from your check, you getting paid $1,200 this month. Now you finna get that $1,600, you know what I'm saying, check because of all the overtime that you're doing. And this is what
I mean,
goes
that's a
on.
way to look at it. Right now, it's with the staff, it's crazy because they are working like they're getting burnt out because there's so little staff that they're working double shifts. You know what I mean? And they're burning themselves out because they're tired of the overtime, the mandatory overtime, the mandatory double shifts that they're doing and stuff like that. Like, it's crazy right now.
Yeah. And then
they were talking about that in our meeting about the burnouts, about the CEOs burning out and stuff.
And then imagine you witnessing 5 or 7 incidents a day. And with these incidents, people getting their face sliced, they getting their throat cut. You know what I'm saying? Or they getting stabbed multiple times. So just imagine you seeing this 7 or 8 times a day. Like what type of effect it has on you at this point?
Mm-hmm.
You know, in your relationship,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying, with your wife, with your husband and your children. You know, because you can't go home acting like everything is okay. You've seen a man almost lose his life. So to me, it's
lately
just
there's
like,
been a lot of in our prisons. To me, it seems like it because every time we get in these groups, and like you don't know about it. Now that we have social media and these groups, like here in Colorado, we just had 2 of them last week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We don't know that from news. We know that because we're in these groups together, and the wives and the moms are sharing this information.
Mm-hmm.
Like you never see that in the news. You know there was a brutal killing in here. What was it, babe? Like a year ago in the incentive unit in Lyman.
Yeah.
And it was brutal.
Yeah.
And that was never put out to the public. Like nobody knew about that. We knew about that because we're in the group. And you know, some of the wives' husbands were talking about it. And it's like it's crazy. Like they don't want us to talk about all of that. But you're right. Like I wonder how these CEOs deal with that. Like from what I heard from that one by itself, like it was brutal. Like how do you go back to work the next day or even stay at work seeing something like that?
Because I mean they living in fear. You know, like the inmates living in fear. Everybody's living in fear. You know, so this is where the barbarian mentality come into play. Before you do something to me, I'm gonna do you first. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be able to call my wife when it's my phone time, or write that letter. You know what I'm saying? So, like that's the attitude. Like it becomes like, and everyone gets the attitude, even the CEOs. I'm gonna make it home. I'm gonna make it through my shift. So if I have to kill you, I'm gonna kill you to make it through my shift. You know, that becomes the attitude. So it's like, what type of chance do you have?
That's crazy.
And everyone is thinking like that. This is the real. I did 23 years in prison, and before that, I did time in other places. So if I did a total of all the time I did in California penal system and probation camps, I've been incarcerated like 36 years of my life. I'm 47 years old, so that means majority of my life, due to me being involved in gangs, I've been incarcerated 36 years of my life. And from me being in probation camps, you know what I'm saying, from the halls, from camps to the youth authority, it's all the same thing. Like when I was in Camp Cleopatra, you know, at this particular time, like this is like in 90. So the Crip and blood tension was high. So going to, you know, to Chow, you know, where we go eat dinner or breakfast, we'll see our so-called enemies and we'll rush them, you know, and now we get into a fight. So many a times I have been walking to Chow, see an enemy, rush him, and then when I get to the box, what they call a hole, by me disturbing, you know what I'm saying, the Chow hall, I'm being hog-tied. I done been hog-tied like a hog, literally, and threw back in the back room because at Camp Cleopatra, you have the front part of the hole where when you walk in, like you can see multiple rooms with a bed, and you can see, you know, young men in there. Then they have a back part where it's no bed. So when I used to go in there, they used to hog tie me and throw me in the back, and I'll be back there for like an hour. And then when they untie me, my hands is numb, my feet is numb, everything. You know, when I was in Los Virginos, the same thing. You know what I'm saying? We'll be walking through school line. Now we're gang members though, so to us this is normal. It's normal for me to see my enemies and rush them. We're gang banging, right? So I don't see no wrong in what I'm doing. I'm a representative of my gang. I see an enemy, I'll rush him. You know. So by me doing that, I come back to the unit. Now at this time, I'm 11 and 12 years old. But I got a grown man in his late 30s and 40s slamming me on the bed and putting his knee in my throat for what I did. So these are the things that we have been through as children, and they went around, why are we so violent? Like, why am I so violent? Like, why my mentality is the way it is? Like, well, you know, what's wrong with me? Like, I've been asked that, like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I remember I was in prison, I went to board. They was like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, what is wrong with you? For you to think that I'm not going to show this type of violence, and I've been victimized all my life. What makes you think I won't have this level of degree of violence? Like, you know, the attitude is I'm not going to let no one hurt me. So in order for that, you know what I'm saying, not to take place, I have to be very violent. But this is the type of violence I was showed as a child with adults in probation camps, in the youth authority. You know, they'll mace us, you know, handcuff us. I done been handcuffed on the floor on my knees. And these are true stories. I have homeboys that I can call that was in prison with me, in the youth authority with me, and they'll tell you this. I done been on my knees, handcuffed with the handcuffs behind my back, and the staff spraying me in my face with mace.
And that shit burns.
Talk about you an asshole. Like, you know, this is what we do to assholes. Like, you know? And he spraying me in my face, and I'm coughing and going through that. And I'm like, okay, well, just get these handcuffs off. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to you. As soon as you put these handcuffs, you know, and so that, yeah, it makes you violent. Yeah, it makes you insensitive to, you know, respecting law enforcement and authority and all these things. Because, you know, at the end of the day, like, that shit it's a facade. It's not true. You know, I grew up in an environment where blacks and Hispanics was treated cruel. You know, we were outcasts, we was undesirables, like we was left behind, like no one cared about anything that we were trying to do. You know what I'm saying? So I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. I grew up with the Hispanics. I grew up with you know, seeing their struggles, and we had the same struggles. You know, and in my area, you know, it's funny because it's like there are certain areas in Los Angeles where, you know, there's not a great population of blacks. So it's kind of different with certain Southern gangs, Southern Hispanic gangs. It's a different attitude. like the ones that grew up like in San Fernando Valley, you know, and they didn't really have like a real strong black presence in their community. They're different, you know. But then the ones that grew up in South Central, or the ones that grew up in Compton, or the ones that grew up in Long Beach, you know, you got Southsiders, you know, what's up, my nigga? Like they talking like that, you know what I'm saying? Because they didn't grow up around blacks. You know, I remember I was in the youth authority with this Southern Hispanic dude. His name was Cricket. He was from Compton Valley 155, and this dude had squabble. Like he was fighting like he was black and talking like he was black, but he was a Southsider. But that's because his next door neighbor was black. He grew up in a black community, so like our struggles is no different from Southern Hispanics. Like it's no different. We're going through the same thing. The sad part is that in California prisons, when we get in there, for some reason, you know what I'm saying, like we feel that like we have no common ground with each other. You know, so a lot of our energy goes into looking at us as enemies, right? But we are brothers. See the Latino community, that them my brothers. Like, you know, the same thing that happened to us in regards to, you know, the Atlantic slave trade. It's the same thing that happened to them with the Spaniards coming over there, you know what I'm saying, and ravishing and raping, you know, the Native Americans, the Mayan Indians, and so forth, and then giving them Spaniard names. You know, you Lopez, you Rodriguez, but these are European names. So the same thing that happened to them is the same thing that happened to us, right? That's the common ground. That's the common interest. Like, you know, we're both dealing with a difficult history that allows us to be so aggressive. And I think this is what I have learned, you know, doing time in prison and understanding and being in a hole and being in the shoe with other Southern Hispanics. And I'm on the yard and we're working out and we're talking and they're telling me like, hey, bro, you know what, man, you're a cool dude, man. And I'm like, likewise, man. He said, man, you know, I remember I was talking to a puppet, you know what I'm saying, from 12th Street. He was telling me like, he was like, man, you a real good dude, man. And I'm like, well, likewise. He said, man, it's real messed up how we come up here, man. We have to look at each other in a certain type of way. He said, but man, you know, any day, man, I'll love to be around you. You know, these are true sentiments when we in the shoe and we behind gates and we're doing burpees and we're doing push-ups and we're doing jumping jacks. We're at our most vulnerable moment, but we really having serious conversations about life and about each other. And we don't see each other as enemies because we're going through the same pain and suffering.
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
So did you guys have greater conflict with like the Bloods or rival sets in there, or racial? Would you say it was more racial tension that you experienced personally, or was it the different rivalries between the Reds and the Bloods and all that?
I mean, it really depended. Like it depends. Like, you know, because like I said, like, you know, like the Southsiders, you know what I'm saying, they have a lot of respect for the homies. You know what I'm saying? Because we're growing up in the same communities, right? And it's vice versa. So 95% we're trying to avoid the conflict.
Right.
Because we know it's going to be a bloodbath. You know what I'm saying? So we trying to avoid the conflict. So a lot of the issues that when I was incarcerated.
If you would like to permanently block your number, thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
You guys beef with brothers from the Bay Area?
I mean, it becomes, sometimes it can be a conflict because it's like, you know, brothers from the Bay Area, you know, a lot of them have different views than blacks that's from Southern California. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the brothers from the Bay Area, you know, they have adopted a pro-black attitude, you know what I'm saying? A pro-black mindset due to the BGF, due to the Black Panther Party being established out there in Oakland. So a lot of the brothers that come from the Bay Area, like they're more black conscious. So sometimes in that, you know, they see as far as what we're doing is as being a nuisance to the black community. So it was like a standoff type of attitude, you know, which leads to us being like, oh, nigga, we don't give a fuck about y'all. You know, excuse my language. Like, you know, nigga, we Crips, so we Bloods. Like, you know what I'm saying? You niggas from way up there, we from out here. You feel me? It leads to that. And then that attitude leads to you know, well, we from up north, y'all from down south, right? So you sometimes you go on certain type of yards, you see that, or it can be, you know, the wheel pile, you know, it can be the Nazi lowriders, you know, it can be, you know, these type of groups. Like when I was in high desert, you know, like the whites had a very stronghold in the politics because all the correctional officers was, you know, white supremacists. You know what I'm saying? So when these white boys come into the yard with hacksaws and, you know what I'm saying, machetes, and you know, like, damn, we like, where they getting that from? They getting it from the staff. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, so it really depends on the prison that you at, you know what I'm saying, and the type of power struggle that the correctional officers is dictating to the yard. And what I mean by that is they'll say this area, right, is closed now. But now this area might be an area where the Southsiders, you know, conduct their exercise routine. This is their hangout area. But now you didn't close this area, right? So now you didn't put them in a vulnerable situation. So now they have to come to the blacks like, can we share an area with y'all? And we're like, nah, you can't share area with us because that's breaching our security. So now they forced to go to war with the yard to find an area now. Because they want their people to be safe. They want their gente to be safe. So they have to push this on. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like they even started the issue. Like this is what the administration did by taking their area away from them.
So like forced segregation and shit.
Yeah, I mean, because the whole California prison yards is segregated. You know, you have the Crips area, the Blood area, the Bay area, the up north Blood areas, the up north Crip area. You got the southern area. You got the northern area. Like, I mean, it's you got the others. You know, the Samoans and Filipinos, and like, so California prison is one of the most segregated places on this planet.
Right.
You know?
And it's such a large prison population too.
Yeah. This is where your uncles and cousins that you haven't seen in 15 years is where they at. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a sad reality. I'm
yeah.
not, but like that's a sad reality.
You know, I remember I was on the yard where I seen a father, a son, and a grandson.
Damn. That's some fucked up shit, bro.
You know, the dad on the yard, son, and his son on the same yard. I was like, damn. So like, this is what's going on. Like, you know, so like, as we was talking about, you know what I'm saying, me, you, and the OG homie was talking about, like, so with these experiences have to come, you know, there have to be some type of solutions to this type of madness. You know what I'm saying? And like we discussing, the solution is to bring forth different awareness. Because like if I would have known, if I joined my gang, right, and I would have known that 15 years later, the dudes that I was on the street trying to kill, and I thought I was honorable in trying to kill my enemies to protect my set, if I knew that I was gonna be on a prison yard with them, drinking coffee, chanate with them, I wouldn't have joined the game because that defeats the purpose, because now the hatred has to diminish. So somebody that I hate, now I'm forced, because we're under a ceasefire policy, now I'm forced to get along with somebody that I've been hating for all my life. So now I'm in that situation. So now I'm questioning everything. I'm looking at, now my life is regretful because it's like, damn, like I done did all of this. I done wasted all this time in prison. And now I'm walking the track with these dudes that's supposed to be my enemies. And I'm drinking coffee with them. I'm playing dominoes with them because I have to get along with them. And if I rush one of these dudes or try to stab one of these dudes for killing one of my friends on the streets, now my homie's gonna turn on me because I'm breaking the peace policy agreement. So I think if these young dudes are aware that the energy that they putting into trying to kill someone, harm someone, that these same groups you're gonna be friends with in prison, I think they'll change their mindset about that.
I think
Because
with some kids though, or with some people, no matter what you say to them, they're going to be headstrong and they have to learn it the hard way. You know what I mean? Because that we've been saying, they've been talking about gangs aren't worth it. When you go to prison, your homeboys aren't there anymore. You're in there by yourself. That's been a thing for years, and we still see it. We still see them doing the same shit, going to prison and saying the same shit over and over again. So it's like, just some of them are just hard headed. They got to learn on their own. They got to learn the hard way. They're not going to listen to what everybody else is trying to say, because everything that everybody's been saying has been said for years. You know what I mean? And they're still doing the same shit.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. But you know, at the same time, it's like this: like maybe out of 100 dudes, we can save one. So with that one life, we say, you know, like in the Quran, I learned that Allah says that, you know, when you save one life, it's like saving humanity. And when you take a life, it's like taking the life of humanity. So even if we can't save 99 dudes, if we could just save one, right, then that's a great impact, because that one person, right, can develop an idea that can change a whole different concept about things. You know, like I was talking to my OG homie, and he said something, and it resonated to me so powerful, where, you know, it put me in a mental state of regret, you know, because he said, what if we already destroyed the next Barack Obama, or we destroyed the next Rosa Parks, or we destroyed the next Cesar Chavez, or, you know, you know, all these individuals, right? And I thought about that, and I was like, damn, you know, because no one knew that Dr. Martin Luther King was going to be Dr. Martin Luther King. You know, no one knew that Rosa Parks was going to be Rosa Parks. No one knew that these children was going to turn into these particular individuals that changed the way the world thought about things. No one knew that. So when you don't give a child the opportunity to grow and live, then it's like you don't know what the possibilities can be on things. So when he said that to me, right, like I said, it really resonated to me, because it's like, damn, like, you know, that has to become the mission at this point. You know, we're at a certain age, you know, Baycott, Daniel, myself, your husband, you know, we're at a certain age where now it's not really about us. And when I say that is, it's about, I say that in the sense of, like, you know, we're at a certain generation where all we can do now at this point is just pass on solutions to the next generation to save them. See, this is the type of love now you have to have in your heart. You know what I'm saying? To be able to share something with the next generation to try to save them. When I talk to my homeboys from my area, I tell them, close the books. Don't put nobody else on the gang no more. Let these dudes become lawyers. Let them become basketball players. Let them become football players. You know what I'm saying? Don't recruit nobody to a long life of suffering. Let them live. You know, like you want your kids to live, like you picking up your kids from school and you doing these particular things, let other parents also allow their children to live. See, these conversations is now important, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know, the situations that we were in, it's because of the choices that we made. You know, we dedicated ourselves to our cause, to our belief system, and that led to us being in prison. That led to us being in these difficult situations, right? But that don't mean it's over. I had 2 life sentences in prison, and then my life sentence got overturned. You know what I'm saying? So I believe as Daniel got out of prison, you know, Baycott got out of prison, I got out of prison. I believe your husband gonna get out of prison. But the thing is that when we get out of prison, this is where the real battle comes into play, because it's not like that I got out of prison and individuals that I grew up with wasn't calling me for aid. Hey, homie, we need you, man. You like the general. Like, we need your mind, man, to be able to figure these things out and figure these things out. So now I'm in the valley of decision. I got a decision to make. You know what I'm saying? Um do I forget, you know what I'm saying, that God intervened on my behalf, which led to my freedom, and then go over here and cause more chaos? And because I'm more dangerous now than I was at 25 and 21 when I'm very more dangerous now. Because when you go to prison, like I'm saying, you educate yourself. So I didn't read Sun Tzu or The War. I didn't read all these books. You know what I'm saying? I didn't learned all these different languages and different things like that. So now it's like, if I'm talking to someone about create a destruction on someone, now it's more in detail than like let's just go get in the car and shoot somebody. See, now it's more planning involved because now it's like it's because we're not trying to get caught. Who wants to go back to prison? So now it's like more mental details in it. So I will be more dangerous doing that, right? But now it's like, so the reverse is, do I do that? Or do I take all of that brain power and put it into us doing something positive? Because like I said, if everybody listening to us, they be like, man, the hell with that shit. That's fine too. But then one person might say like, man, I feel that. That makes sense. Because like I told Daniel, right, one thing for sure, where I came from, can nobody say I wasn't a menace? So if that's what you looking up to, that's what you aspiring to be, a menace. If you aspiring to be a shooter, if you aspiring to be a writer, see, can't nobody dispute that about me. So it's like, so then it becomes like, okay, well, we know the homie was a writer. We know he put in work, which led to him getting life in prison. So now he's talking this talk. And there's a reason why I'm talking this talk, because I'm telling y'all, like, what you think ain't what it is. And if you have a child, like I was telling one of my homegirls, if you have a child, then your gangbanging career is forfeited because now you have a life to look out for. Why would you want to continue to gangbang and you have a child? Now it's forfeited. You have no choice but to leave it alone. Because your child needs you. Why would you want to be gangbanging and you have a child? I have a son. Like, my son is 9 months year old. Like, can you see my phone right there, bro? Turn this phone on real quick. I have a son at 9 years old.
So I thought like Greyhound, he teaches a class in there, like the asset culture. And that's his thing is educating the younger ones coming in there and trying to steer them away from that. Like he's co-created a program in there, and like they do a lot of advocacy to get things done in there for programming wise. And that's like, cause one of our OGs schooled him and turned him on to, know thyself, and study, you know what I mean? So that's something that right now he's been. That's why I hope we can get him out, man, because it's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like we have our struggles coming out of here, out of prison for the scarlet letter and everything we have to deal with, the traumas and shit. You know what I mean? But it's a great struggle. But he's been down 25 now. Yeah, 25.
Yeah, 25 as of July. He's been in there.
30-year rule kicked in.
Yeah, he gonna get out of prison.
They just changed the law out here to so he's doing natural life plus. In the natural life sentence out here, you're not eligible for commutation, but they recently changed the law so he can petition the courts Rule 32, and I think he's got an ineffective assistance of counsel claim too. So then he would qualify for parole, which he would be eligible for already. And he's got a lot of good going for himself. He's got a lot of support out here, good solid support out here, especially with his wife and them out there. But and then he's doing good. He's doing everything that he needs to be doing to better himself and those around him, make the world around him a better place, like we do. You know what I mean? It's a struggle. We wish we had all the resources we needed to accomplish these things. But what he's doing internally. What you doing?
Hey, Daniel, we're going to have to end this in like 4 minutes because I got to get ready for work.
All right.
Yeah, well, it's
Did you have any other questions, Big, for him before we end?
No.
Okay.
Well, it's definitely been a pleasure, you know what I'm saying, meeting you and your husband. And one thing I would like to say to your husband before we end is your husband gonna get his freedom. And the reason why I say he's gonna get his freedom is because he's dealing in aspects of spirituality. So anytime that you're doing something for someone else, right, the universe brings it back to you. It's the universal law. You know what I'm saying? That can't be ignored. You know what I'm saying? So the universe will bring different connections to your husband and open up doors for him to get his freedom because he's doing good for humanity. So your husband gonna come home. You know what I'm saying? So I know that for a fact. You know what I'm saying? Keep up the good work, man. You know what I'm saying? You in my prayers. And you know, the thing with this is about just patience, you know, and true understanding. You know, of understanding we in a dynamic world that's very evil. But as long as we keep ourselves grounded in spirituality, right? Spirituality is more powerful than worldly things, right? So the things that the program that your husband has, the other lives that he's trying to educate to ultimately get out of that destructive thinking, right? He's going to get favored from the creator on that, right? And your life and his life is going to be favoring that. So keep up the good work, man. You know what I'm saying? And if we can support you in any way, we're here for you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for coming on with us. Hopefully you can come back on.
Yeah, we want to, once we start doing the pocket.
But I'm going to go ahead and end this, Daniel, because I got to get ready for work.
All right.
What, babe?
Hey, tell him to call me this week.
Well, honey, you and Daniel were talking at the same time.
I'd like to chop it up with him again whenever we have more time.
Okay. So did you hear that?
Yeah.
He said he wants to chop it up with him again when we have more time. So we'll have to do it on a day that I don't go to work, or I'll be able to call in.
Yeah, no doubt. Because we were talking the same thing about getting him on the channel with us and shit to, you know what I mean, to speak his piece, because it's all critical. But we said something about you. But yeah, bro. I think good things are happening already, bro. You know what I mean? Call me though. Call me this week so we can talk. You hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I heard you.
I love you, bro.
Thank you, everybody who joined us. We appreciate it. Have a good week. Be safe. Until next week, married life.
Peace.
Married life.